step in this direction. We certainly believe at NSE that we're very passionate about financial literacy, that we're very passionate about investor awareness, that we are clearly committed to engaging with investors at every level. I tend to be a little less discouraged than Vivek was in his remarks, simply because I think it's important to realize that it is a gigantic task. And the more I learn about the number of institutions and organizations which are engaged in investor awareness and financial literacy at a variety of levels, I actually get quite impressed with how much work we as a nation are doing. Just spending a minute on what NSE is doing, as Vivek Law just said, we are engaged with school level people and college level kids, simply because starting early is a singularly important key to making a difference in how people engage with finance. We are out there almost every single day with some awareness program in some part of the country, and most often in very remote parts of the country. We've got literature out there, and we've got it in various languages, and that makes a very key difference. So we're out there trying to do things in that area as well. But very clearly, we have to keep on doing this. We have to keep pushing the agenda, and it's not going to help unless we keep doing this. But more importantly, we've also recognized, we've also realized that we do need to, as Vivek Law just said, that we do need to segregate and segment investor awareness issues at key levels of people, at key levels of investors. And I think that's going to make a very, very key difference to what we can achieve. SEBI is out there doing things, RBI is out there doing things, all of us as institutions are making a difference. And my own sense is that if we keep on pushing the issues that are of key importance to us as investors, so we've got media programs out there, media campaigns out there looking at do's and don'ts for investors. We've got campaigns out there which are looking at power of attorney today. We've got campaigns out there on almost each of these issues. And what we do at NSE is we regularly take a look at the investor grievances, at the investor complaints that come to us, and segment from that what is generic and what we can use to push out there and make a difference to investors. So with that, let me just say that I think it's a great initiative that CNBC TV18 has taken. I must warmly congratulate CNBC for doing this. It's an entire year-long program, and I don't doubt that it will make a difference. Will it take away the need for investor awareness? Absolutely not. As I said, it's a gigantic task, but all of us lend a shoulder. We keep at it. It's about perseverance. If we persevere, I think we will transform the financial landscape of our country. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Narayan. Mr. Bhave, if I can, before you light the lamp, if I can please request you to come and please say a few words to us, please.
Members Sahu, Mr. Ravi Narayan, Vivek Law, ladies and gentlemen, it's a delight and a pleasure to be here for the launch of this investor awareness program. Let me begin by wishing CNBC a happy birthday a little in advance, and by congratulating both CNBC and NSE for having taken this initiative. As the Managing Director of NSE as well as Mr. Law said, there is a need to continue these campaigns. There is a need to do it because investor education is a task that is never fully done. Add to that the flavor that Indian society has today and the state of our capital markets, there are two more reasons why you need to do it. That is, we are at a stage in our markets where we are introducing newer products in the market. So investor education is never going to be complete. As you bring in new products, we will have to make sure that investors understand what these new products are. Investor education will also not be complete because we are, as a nation, in a state where people who are going to enter the employment stage and start earning money that is enough for them to be able to save and invest are constantly a large number of new people are coming into this team. And as long as this age dividend, youth dividend, demographic dividend, as people call it differently, continues, then it's all the more incumbent on us that we continue this effort. When intermediaries take up investor awareness programs, there is an inherent conflict that arises, and all of us should be aware of it, recognize it. And that is that the industry or the intermediary is spending its money for taking up this initiative, and the temptation to sell your product rather than educate investors is something that naturally arises. And when this kind of an issue arises, it is very unlikely that the intermediary would like to describe to the investors the pitfalls in investing in that product. It will say that my job is to sell this product. So why should I be the one carrying a message of pitfalls? And if you just go back to SEBI's attempts in the past and what happened to some of them, you will realize why I'm making this point. Those of you who were conversant with the things that happened when SEBI was set up, one of the first things SEBI tried to tell the issuers was that your offer document must contain risk factors. And there was tremendous resistance to this. They said, I'm selling my IPO, why should I tell the investor what the risks of investing are? So they decided to resist this. When they found that they couldn't resist it, they decided to use a font which was almost not readable. So we had to go and prescribe a font that will be used for putting in the risk factors. Sometimes in our country we complain about micromanagement by regulators. But we don't examine ourselves as to why is it that the regulators are being required to micromanage. You look at the risk warning that we asked the mutual fund industry to put up. And what was the response? Read that warning as fast as you can so that people can't hear it. So we had to go and prescribe the number of seconds for which it will be done. Then people got even more innovative. They added a few words to that warning so that even in the given time, it can be read very fast. Now we have come to a stage where we will have to say that your warning will have precisely these words and it will take so much time. And people said that, yeah, when you said that it should be there for 5 seconds, I thought that that picture should be there on the TV for 5 seconds. The reading time was not prescribed by you. So there goes micromanagement. These kinds of instances keep coming up and people have problems. And therefore when institutions like a stock exchange take up this kind of a campaign, there is a certain merit in it. Because the broker has no incentive to tell you the pitfalls of the equity market. But when the exchanges do it, hopefully they will keep away from this temptation, and we will make sure that we tell the investors that just as there are rewards in a financial product, there are risks involved as well. You just take the example of derivatives. Now, all of us know that for an ordinary investor to leverage is a risky proposition. And leveraging does result in very quickly your capital itself getting wiped out. But how many of us tell the investors that a futures position is a leverage thing? We don't tell them that. On the contrary, what is the temptation for the brokerage house? You've got 1 lakh of rupees, you want to invest them in State Bank of India, why don't you take a futures position instead of buying in the cash market? When the stock goes up by 10%, your profits will be far more. What we don't tell him is what investors asked us in January 2008. They said, sir, the stock went down only by 20%, but the broker says all your money is wiped out. How did that happen? Now his question arises from the fact that he never knew that this was a leverage transaction. So I think in all investor awareness efforts, one of the things that we will have to focus on very clearly is that along with the benefits of any financial product, are we honest enough to tell the investors clearly that there is risk here as well? And these are the scenarios in which that risk could do X, Y, Z things to you. If we are able to do this, then we would be doing real investor awareness. And my hope from such programs is that this will happen. SEBI will make its own efforts. But I couldn't agree more with the earlier speakers that this is not a job that one institution alone can do. All of us need to put our hands together. Let us not for a moment presume that it is difficult for the Indian investors to understand things because they don't speak English or they're not educated and so on and so forth. All those arguments were thrown at us when the depository was being set up. That investors will not understand one statement, so many shares mentioned there, they want their share certificates, they sleep with their share certificates under their pillow and so on and so forth. It didn't take investors long to understand the demat concept. So much so that we invented a new verb in English called demat. They say that my shares have been dematted. I tried to see in the dictionary, there is no such word. But you ask any common investor, he will understand. If you say my shares have been dematted, what has exactly happened? He knows that. You take currency derivatives, in May the exam was launched. By now 4,000 people have cleared this exam. So people understand, provided we are prepared to honestly tell them what the whole thing is all about. And I'm sure these efforts will go a long way in doing that. Without taking any more of your time, I wish this program luck, and to the extent that they need any support from SEBI, that will certainly be forthcoming. Thank you very much.